That's right, you read the title correct. Pronouns are now officially a thing in Star Wars. And I'm not talking about normal pronouns, I'm talking about the fake invented ones that certain people in society are trying to push these days. We had a scene in the most recent episode of The Acolyte, episode 4, where May, in referring to an alien, refers to him first as he and then corrects herself by saying or they. So trying to use the they them pronouns now for an alien essentially. Now, we are talking about a fictional universe here. This is not lost on me whatsoever. We are talking about a fictional sci-fi universe where you have all sorts of crazy creatures and characters and aliens and all sorts of things. And the rules of that world are not the same here. But we know what is going on here. This doesn't take an idiot to add up 1 + 1 here, because we know what the real world agenda is of certain people in our society, and namely certain people who work at Lucasfilm. We know how they are trying to rewrite some of these rules to move towards these far left sort of ideologies. And to them, having a they, them in a show, to them is progress and is the required thing to do to meet their diversity quotas and all the other rubbish that gets injected these days into their shows. So and it doesn't take any person with half a brain or one brain cell to figure out this is not about creating some sort of alien that's some sort of mythical like creature that doesn't conform to normal genders. No, this is not about creating anything interesting. This is about just trying to appease a certain tiny demographic that cares about this rubbish, because normal people and most people do not. No one gives a damn about pronouns in that way and thinks that anything you try to refer to outside of he or she is just stupid and a waste of time because it doesn't exist. And so this is the thing we're dealing with here now. This is what Star Wars has sunk to. The episode in itself, I've given up on doing the reviews of the show because the show is absolutely rubbish, and episode 3 was all I needed to know about that. Episode 4 continues that trend. It is rubbish from start to finish. But that said, look, I wanted to highlight specifically what's going on here, that they are trying to, inject these modern day pronouns essentially into Star Wars, because that's all they care about now. They don't care about the actual lore of the show. They broke that by having Ki-Adi-Mundi in there now, breaking the timeline of events, him now knowing about a potential Sith when he admits to saying they didn't exist for 1,000 years in the Phantom Menace. All sorts of inconsistencies you have now with the show already. But to then inject such nonsense into the show, it just shows you that Lucasfilm, Disney, they're completely broken. They've completely lost the plot in terms of what they think people want. They obviously have hired activists that work within their companies that live in this sheltered bubble that think the whole world thinks what they think. And it's just not the case. The vast majority of people, whether you align with the left or the right or the center, whatever, most normal people do not want this crap. They don't agree with this crap or think is acceptable. And that's why the numbers are dwindling for the show. The people are losing interest in Star Wars. It is a suffering, dying brand, if not dead already, as we've said many times. But yeah, look, this is what they want, and they're getting what they want. So people who are enjoying the show, you enjoy it, have it, it's yours. But clearly, you only have to look at the audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes. Review bombing or not, even if you remove the review bombing, the show is a negatively responded show. People are not accepting the show, but the current score is showing a 13 or 14% as of now. And so that is horrendous, and I believe the worst reviews for any show in Star Wars history. And you could say, you could say, okay, it's being review bombed, you can call it that, but then why weren't shows like Mandalorian or Andor or even Ahsoka, why weren't they review bombed equally? To me, a lot of those shows have the same sort of problems, but why is they choose to focus on this one? The other shows had just as much representation and all sorts of things like that, but why did the fans not target those specifically, and they're choosing to target this? You can go down this review bombing rabbit hole, but the truth is review bombing has been going on for a long time with all sorts of products, and it happens in both the positive and negative sense. We know about positive review bombing. It typically happens on the critic side of scores, not so much amongst fans, unless you're talking about like a Christopher Nolan film or something like that. But mostly, you have critics that just eat up anything that Disney gives them, no matter how rubbish it is, when clearly there's a huge disparity here when the critics are giving the show somewhere in the 80% range and the fans are down in the teens. There's something going on. I'm much more inclined to believe fans when it comes to judging a show, just because they have nothing to gain by being positive or negative, whereas critics do get access and all sorts of things by positively reviewing certain shows from certain companies. And so I don't trust critics at all anymore. But that said, the show is rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. Even if you remove this whole pronouns thing, the show is just garbage. But this one incident just kind of just highlights just how far Star Wars has fallen. Like, my God, the days of Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia are just so far be in the past. Like, it's a joke at this point. But to me, Star Wars is dead, but it's just now like, it's like twitching with nerves that are twitching when the corpse is dead and the heart has stopped, but there's like twitching nerves here and there. And this is what the Acolyte really is, but not in a good way. So yeah, look, the show is rubbish, and screw these pronouns and this forced agenda they're trying to inject into the show and into Star Wars in general. And yeah, I'm rejecting it completely. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think of it? What do you think of this show in general? And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.